Good morning to everyone. I think we have people joining from different parts of the world, but for most of you, I think it's Europe, so I think it's morning. So good morning should do, but good afternoon for those ones who are joining from other countries, from Gulf in particular. And good early morning for those ones who are joining from UK, probably. We're really happy to see all of you here today because it's gonna be interesting. So the title of our webinar is Closeout Netting Across Europe and Credit Implications. So it sounds really extremely serious and extremely legal, but I promise you, this session will not be boring at all. Many of you think that closeout netting is actually annoying and that discussing it or reading legal opinions about closeout netting is even worse. So today we are going to bring a little bit of joy in your daily routine. We will walk you through closeout netting, but in an entertaining way. We'll give you some practical and simple way to approach your risk management questions. And we can assure you that closeout netting has never been as simple as we are going to present to you today. We have our partner, Ward, who will also present their credit implications and how why netability matters for credit and how credit relies on legal analysis of closeout netting. And take this as a promise, even closeout netting can be fun. So we're going to prove you this today. We will have a Q&A session in the end of the webinar, but as I already mentioned, please bear in mind that at any part of our presentation, you can for sure raise your hand, you can ask your questions, please use chat, or please feel free to speak. And I hope that we will all enjoy this hour webinar. So for those of you who do not know me, my name is Insa Antipova. I'm Ukrainian. I'm a lawyer, and I have more than 15 years of experience in the energy sector, both in Ukraine and in EU. I worked in a law firm. I worked as in-house lawyer, and today I work as director for legal consulting at Correggio Consulting, and I have this honor and privilege to deliver the first part of our webinar for you. So let's start with closeout netting. Closeout netting is actually based on payment netting, which is simple and clear. All the values, unpaid amounts are reduced to a single net amount owed by one party to another. So closeout netting is actually the netting that you apply in case of termination of your agreement, in case of close out. Essentially, if one party defaults or there is a termination event, closeout netting allows the parties to calculate the net amount owed to each other rather than setting each individual trade. And the closeout netting is based on single agreement concept, which means that all your confirmations are tied together as one chain. So all the transactions linked together into one master agreement. And you can see that at this example, closeout netting helps you to reduce your risks. So in first case, your risk is 170 when party A owes 100 to party B and party B to party A 70. But with payment netting and with closeout netting, the risk is actually reduced to 3. So the single agreement concept means that you have one one agreement, and one final balance. How is closeout netting linked to your credit risk? As simple as that. It is linked to your exposure, and exposure is the amount that one party would owe the other party if all trades were terminated at that moment. And if the exposure exceeds a certain pre-agreed limit, for example, you may ask for collateral, and collateral will need to be paid. So this is the essence of the closeout netting, and I'm sure that all of you know about it. But now we will present the closeout netting in the most entertaining way, in way of comics. So, closeout netting comics. When something goes wrong, beginning. Sometimes your counterparty may really surprise you, and not in a good way. Except that you're probably not that lucky as Bruce Willis, in that movie of The Fifth Element, and there is no Mila Jovovich falling from the sky to save your day. So closeout events usually occur with respect to your counterparty and often unexpectedly. So you may not even be aware that there is an insolvency proceeding initiated or if there is a problem on your counterparty side. But time is of essence in this case, because once the boom, the big bada boom happens, the clock starts ticking. And your entire position should be quickly valued, and everything should be boiled down to one net number. So this is actually the magic of the closeout netting. The formula is simple: gains minus losses, and this should be a single amount. But the problem is that when the insolvency starts, the mandatory insolvency rules will normally freeze everything and all your contracts, and you would not be able to receive your net amount. So when something goes wrong and the administrator is coming, what happens? The insolvency administrator arrives and suddenly wants to act like they are at the fruit market. So they may try to pick only the best cherries, the profitable contracts, while you leave stuck with your bad ones. So luckily, in some jurisdictions, there might be safe harbor provisions. What is it? This is a regulatory protection from insolvency laws. This is made to ensure that netting, closeout netting, can be proceed. The question is for which ships, for which products actually we may have this protection. And in case that the safe harbor provisions apply, it lets netting continue smoothly even when the insolvency chaos hits the whole contract. The big question remains for which ships, for which products we can apply the safe harbor. So when something goes wrong and closeout strikes back, so insolvency mandatory rules can feel a lot like Darth Vader army of stormtroopers. They are rigid, they are unstoppable, they march forward with the full force of the empire. So when they advance, they apply everywhere and leave very little room to maneuver. And you can see that institution of insolvency proceeding, this is like the first sign of Darth Vader. And then the insolvency proceedings are officially opened and mandatory insolvency rules can apply. So what can we offer to this? You may think about, So automatic termination in this case, maybe you're Luke Skywalker with a lightsaber to protect your close-out netting. Speaking the legal language, automatic termination is the mechanism that triggers the automatic termination after the insolvency proceedings have already been instituted, but before the insolvency proceedings are officially opened. So under certain predefined conditions, which may differ from one jurisdiction to another, automatic termination actually is turned on and enforceable. So when the stormtroopers insolvency mandatory rules begin their invasion, actually Luke, as your automatic termination, may fight back in advance. Luke doesn't wait. Automatic termination strikes back before the formal opening. So at the first sight of Darth Vader, when the insolvency proceedings are only instituted. So this way, automatic termination may keep your netting absolutely safe. So the effectiveness of closeout netting heavily depends on where your counterparty is based, in which jurisdiction. Why? Because each country has its own insolvency laws that say whether netting is enforceable, whether you should apply or not, what are the rules, and what happens exactly when a company goes bankrupt. This regulation also defines if automatic termination is recommended. So there are, in general, closeout netting friendly jurisdictions where closeout netting is fully recognized and enforceable, and non-friendly jurisdictions where netting may be restricted by some particular rules. So even more important, some jurisdictions might be netting friendly only for specific type of products, for financial products, for example, or for example, for the physical trades, but between the qualified, so to say, qualified parties. So when it comes to physical energy products, this is really important. And this is the main question. So while Shakespeare asked to be or not to be, in energy trading, we ask nettable or not this product in this jurisdiction. So how do we should find answer or responses to these questions? All the responses are usually provided by the relevant legal opinions, which describe the insolvency rules, which describe the netting. And these opinions are published by industry associations, usually by ISDA or by IFET in our case. And these are quite complex and quite complicated legal documents written in legal language, which could be quite difficult to read for non-legal people. And often even, I can totally admit that sometimes even for legal people, it's quite difficult to read these texts. Some of them are more than 100 pages. So in our case, what we produced is, of course, the netting matrix where you have all the replies, but this is not, this is even this document could be quite complicated for non-legal people to read. So what is netting matrix? The netting matrix is kind of your guide to the galaxy of legal opinions. It collects answers, it collects notes from different jurisdictions in one place for navigating your closeout netting and automatic termination rules across Europe. So think of the netting matrix as a guide, but mostly for lawyers. So this country could be safe harbor paradise. And you can see here the picture again from the fifth element, flowstone paradise, where you can enjoy all the types of safe harbor rules and you can net anything that you have under your contract. In other jurisdictions, you should be aware of insolvency rules and insolvency monsters, where their empire is extremely strong. And finally, there are some other jurisdictions where Jedi are allowed and where you can easily apply your automatic termination with some particular amendments. So netting matrix is your map to survive different legal universes without accidentally stepping out into some non-friendly jurisdictions. But is it everything that we provide? No. And actually, this is something that will be explained to Farron, what reply we can give you today to these main questions, nettable or not. Please, Farron.
Thank you, Insa. Hi, my name is Ramangot. For the ones that don't know me, I'm a Spanish lawyer. I've been in energy since October 2007. And from that time, I've been dealing with legal opinions, nettability or not nettability, closeout. And as Insa said, sometimes these opinions are quite burdensome, quite long, and quite difficult to read. And that's why we are proposing to you a new solution. Don't panic, we have you. And this is our solution is COLA. COLA is the Correggio online legal assistant, and we've dubbed it the AI legal opinion whisperer. It's something that at warp speed will give you all the answers that you need. COLA is an AI solution designed to help teams to quickly and easily understand the enforceability of contractual rights, close-up netting, and other range of legal issues related to the standard agreements for gas and power trading, right now, the IFETs. As with the netting matrix, where you have a quick hitchhiker's guide to the legal opinions, where you have a few pages for each of the countries, which things are maybe a bit more technical. COLA solves that. COLA allows you just to question legal opinions. So what is COLA exactly? COLA allows you to question in normal language, your legal opinions, all the legal opinions, to know everything you wanted to know about close-up netting for IFET. You are going to get your TLDR too long. I don't really want to read your 3 phrases, what you need. quickly, and then you can dig even deeper. Cola also gives you access to guides on the interpretation and implementation of certain OTC wholesale energy agreements. Everything that you wanted to know about DFID, but were always afraid to ask, or probably always afraid to get the full answer. These are practical guides. These are written by professionals, by practitioners, for practitioners. We are not interested in all the academic discussions. We are there for you to solve things quickly. And also, we are there for you. Cola Hotline will give you access to us, to the professionals that are behind the Cola solution, that have been in the industry for a lot of years, and they know what matters to you. Cola will give you direct access in the form of, we can certify the answers that the system gives you, and also we are there for certain hours. You ask us what you need. Now, which jurisdictions do we have? We have 9 jurisdictions right now: Austria, France, Germany, Hungary, Italy, Netherlands, Poland, Spain, and Switzerland. And if you notice, are the kind of the tricky jurisdictions and where a lot of trading companies are. This is obviously by design. We know where people are trading. We know what are the jurisdictions. We know that ones that are a bit difficult, and we wanted to give you the first 9 on the trickier side. More jurisdictions are coming, and you will be able to, we will be able to expand, and we will be able to explain with you whatever you need, jurisdictions you need, please send us. Why Cola? I think that it's a bit what Insa has said. IFID agreements and enforceability, and especially the instruments that we had up until now to solve those, to know what we needed to do, to know if the empire was coming and there was no stopping, or if we could get some safe harbor somewhere, or if we had some jurisdictions where the force was strong with them. It was really difficult. Hundreds of pages of legal, complicated academic discussions. We wanted to solve that. Cola completely changes that. It provides jurisdiction-specific answers with pinpoint citations from our own legal opinions. We've gone out and provided and gotten legal opinions from reputable law firms, namely now is CMS and Clyde & Co. And we've made sure that they were easy to understand, that they focus on what is important. And if there was something that was a bit more difficult, they laid down the difficulties, the doubts clearly in plain English for everyone to understand. So to allow legal departments, contract managers, even credit departments, risk departments to understand what is going on. What are the difficulties? What are the specific Cola services? It's the best one, it's the one that I love the most, is the Cola chat. You just chat with our own AI. This is housed in Correggio's servers, so nothing that you say that goes out. It's not going to be trained by, by XAI, by OpenAI. It's us. You get your answers quickly, warp speed. You have the Cola brain, so you'll have the full toolkit in PDF. Opinions that are not 100 pages long, not even 50 pages long. It's opinions that are at most 32 pages long with annexes, because we've distilled what is really important, what is really practical for you. And obviously, you'll get the Cola hotline, the certification of Cola chat answers. If you, for whatever reason, you need to send something outside, you are not too sure, we are there. You flag it in the system, and you will have a human, one of us, a lawyer that have read and spent years of their life reading legal opinions. We're going to read the legal opinion that we have, and it's going to give you an answer. It's going to say yes or no. And if it's a no, okay, maybe this time the chat got it wrong. We doubt it, we highly doubt it, but if that is the case, we'll tell you what is the right answer. And obviously, you'll have access to us in certain subscription tiers. So how much does this cost? Right now, nothing at all. If you want, we have a free trial. Go in, check it, check the chat, see how it does, see if you like it, and we talk in the new year when we are all a bit more relaxed, and all the all the craziness leading up to Christmas, as always, has a bit fallen off. So let me give you just a bit of a taste of what Cola is, and we will have the opportunity to even ask more questions to Cola at the end with our live demo. But right now, also live is here. This is the interface. This is what you will see. You will be able to ask anything. You will have all your past conversations in one place, and you will have even your favorites. You will be able to search your conversations because there's always that jurisdiction that it's always a bit more tricky than others, that you always receive one or two questions more frequently than others. And you will have the color brain with all the opinions there. So you'll be able to just read the PDF opinions as we're used to, as we were doing. But let's just, now that we are on Italy, for example, is closed out enforceable in Italy? And you'll see how quick you get the first answer. And the first answer is what I said. It's this, even if this is too long, just read the first two lines. Yes, closeout is enforceable, provided that the contracts qualify as EU energy contracts. And then you will have the country, the governing law of the legal opinion, or the governing law of the country, the date of the legal opinion. Look at this, 21st of July, 2025. We will have always updated legal opinions. Every 6 months, we will go back to the different law firms and ask them, hey guys, has something changed? And if something has changed, every 6 months, you'll have an update. This is, at the current rates, I think really faster than light updating of our legal opinions. We'll probably do the Kessel Run in 6 months or so. Then you have the recommended amendments, if there are any, and you'll have exactly where you can find that in the legal opinions. So if you think, is the interpretation good or not, just go to the legal opinion, to that section. And not only that, so we've designed the tool to give you a quick answer, plain English, but you can always ask more. What are EU energy contracts? And you will get an answer. The AI obviously is aware of what you were talking, and there you go. You have the answer, you have the excerpts, and you have all the all the information that you need, just at your fingertips, very quickly on anything that you need. Please, if there are any questions, please go ahead and ask. Maybe we can even try just one question from the audience before we do our live demo. No takers?
Yes, please feel free to add your questions to the chat. Maybe questions for Cola. Of course, within the limits of the jurisdictions that we already have. Okay, I see that we have one question. Yes, please, Radhika.
Hi everyone. So this is maybe I have missed the first part. I had a problem with my headset. Did you mention that this draws, apart from the legal opinions, does this draw from anything else? So for example, if you ask it, what is supply under Italian law? Does it also draw from Italian law,
No.
for example? Can it, or is it just limited to legal opinions?
For the moment, it's limited to legal opinions. It's limited to closeout netting and closeout netting enforceability. Obviously, if there are some amendments to the IFED that are recommended, we have them also. But for now, it's limited to closeout netting enforceability under
So
the
when you
IFED
ask
gas.
it, sorry. So when you ask it, what are EU energy contracts? It provides the definition that is mentioned in the legal opinions.
Correct.
Ah, perfect. Thank you.
Yes. So anything that it's connected, and if there's something that it's needed to explain why there is closeout netting and what is.
We have one more raised hand. Yes, please feel free.
Thank you. This is Signa from Commerzbank. The opinions that you intend to commission, do they also cover the credit support annex as part of the closeout, or are they limited to the closeout of transactions?
Ferran, are you there? I think we lost Ferran.
Frozen.
Ferran, can you hear us? Yeah, I think we have some technical problems. So let me then explain this. So for now, our legal opinions they are limited to a certain number of questions, and credit support annex is covered, but only as a necessity, for example, for closeout netting or some enforceability of IFED credit support annex in this or that jurisdictions, but not in details. So if you will need any particular information on the credit support annex, this is something that will not be covered by COLA. But if you have some general question like if credit support annex is enforceable, this could be covered. Mostly COLA is developed for enforceability of closeout netting, for enforceability if you should apply or should not apply in this jurisdiction, automatic termination. And finally, if you need to have any specific amendments for your counterparty in this jurisdiction.
Thank you.
For now, but we will develop this further. There will be COLA 2.0, 3.0 probably, and even 4.0. So you to be continued. Just like in comics. We have Ferran back. Yeah, please, Ferran. Yes.
Apologies. Yeah, my computer seized up. Sorry.
So, any more questions from the audience? So please remember that there will be also a Q&A session at the end of our webinar. So if you have any specific questions or if there are questions that you would like to ask COLA, please feel free to add them to the chat or speak later. And now, Ward, the floor is yours. Please give us some credit insights on closeout netting and why at all credit specialists need all this information from legal. Please, thank you.
Sure. Thank you very much, Insa. I am, after your presentation, very much aware that my side will be slightly more boring than what you did, but I'll try my best, and I'll keep it short in any way to leave some time for the questions and answers. I'll just share my screen a little bit and give a quick introduction on who I am. Here I go. Here we go, and I hope you can see my screen. I'll take this away. Good. Right, so I'm Ward van Meel. I'm an independent consultant. I've always worked in credit risk my entire career for about 18 years, getting old apparently. And I've worked the majority of that in the vast majority of that in the energy sector, but also a little bit in commodities, and I started off in banking sector. So as a consultant, what I do is I specialize in helping organizations in their best practice in setting up the credit risk departments and moderating that. In that capacity, I am also supporting Correggio as a credit risk consultant who has actually worked there. So shortly as my resume, I've only been independent recently, and before that I've always actually worked for the utilities as head of credit or these type of roles. Why is it not? Here we go. So why netability is important for credit? Well, it's actually what the exposure is. So a real quick freshen up of what credit risk actually is. This consists out of two segments, which is replacement risk. So that is the valuation of your position. So what would be the cost of replacing that position in the market. So then you get the contract price against the current market price, and that would be your replacement risk. In terms of in the energy market, it's usually called mark to market. So this difference can be positive or negative, and that is where the netting becomes very important, because you can have a lot of positions, a lot of positive positions, a lot of negative positions. But you don't want to, as Insa said earlier, let anybody cherry pick and only take the negative positions. So these are then the payables. But you want to have one easy amount that's left. The other side of it is the settlement risk. So this tends to be these are the accruals or the delivered uninvoiced, and the ARAP. So also this can be a payable or a receivable, depending on whether you're buying or selling, of course. And again, you want also that amount to be offset by whatever the replacement risk is, so that you at the end get a clear amount, and that there's no dispute over what the claim amount, the final claim amount would be. So the outcome would be the netted exposure, which is the sum of all the negatives and positives, and then you have a clear amount. So that is where, from a credit risk point of view, this is really valuable, because not only does it reduce the exposure, because you don't have one big payable and one big receivable, but you have just one clear amount. But that the last part is also very important, the clarity of the claim. This is what your exposure is, and therefore when it's monitored for credit risk, usually the closeout amount is monitored. And this becomes also a bit of a discussion if you talk about closeout netting or payment netting, which payment netting is more the practical implications, whereas closeout netting is the final legal claim that that will be on the table. So why is this important? Because from a practical point of view, what happens if they don't pick up the phone anymore? So when do they not pick up their phone? That's when they're in distress. So that can be because of they are close to insolvency. They could have payment issues. They could have liquidity issues. It could be all kinds of reasons. But in the practical sense, that's when a credit risk manager gets nervous, when there's no contact anymore, or even worse, when they give you the bad news, of course, that they will be defaulting. So when a counterparty defaults on its contractual obligations, that's the default event, and that is where we're afraid of. But if they're not picking up the phone, it can be rather difficult to kind of pinpoint when that exact moment has been. The netting agreement will give you tools not only to come up with the amount, but also with the procedure of that. So there's a dispute period that stipulates that what needs to be done at what moment in order to force a closeout amount and force a objective claim. There is a downside to it. Well, a downside to it in the sense that it needs to be known that the exposure that you have today, so the calculated closeout amount as of today, wouldn't necessarily be the final claim, because you do need to go through that dispute period. And during that dispute period, the market will still continue to develop. Therefore, the replacement risk can still continue to develop, and you might be forced even to continue to deliver as per your contractual obligations. So your accruals would also continue to grow, which means that you will have continued exposure during that dispute period. So if you are very tight and you do it correctly, this could be under EFAT terms often about 5 business days or more, depending on how correct you take all the steps. So this is really key. So it does reduce the exposure, but in practical terms, you do need to be really on top of it in order to take the benefits and reap those benefits. Unfortunately, in large organizations, it happens only too often that this is not really understood that well, and they kind of want to give the counterparty the benefit of the doubt, maybe, and time can be lost there. And time, in this sense, can be really increase the exposure by quite a bit. What can you do against it? Well, then I have my general credit risk management toolbox, I suppose. So it's all about strong preparation. Strong preparation starts with good onboarding, good credit assessments, and clear decision making. And if anything is outside of the risk appetite, that there's a strong escalation process there. That ties into the strong governance. So the decision makers' roles should be clear, and it needs to be properly documented. The decision making itself needs to be very clear and consistent, so that looking back, it was clear why a certain risk decision was made. And for netting, closeout netting in that context, the monitoring is even more key. So the better you know what your current position is, where you are currently, what the current closeout would be if you would agree on a closeout amount today, then that is where you are, and then you at least know the risk, and you can put that risk against the earlier made credit decision, and whether that still makes sense, whether you're still comfortable with that. Obviously, appropriate mitigations can be made. So starting off obviously with the netting agreement itself, but remember, in the netting agreement, the structure is also agreed upon. So the parental support will be set up. Who is the if there are any guarantees, what would trigger other guarantees? So that this would be stipulated in the material adverse change clauses, and other security packages maybe. And if there's a credit support annex, then even margining might apply. So this is really quick, conscious of time, and I want to leave some time for a Q&A, and feel free to ask any questions on these. But this, just from a practical point of view, from when you're living it, from credit risk management, the netting is very much key, and having it wrong, assuming there will be netting, but because of the jurisdiction, the netting actually doesn't apply, would change your credit risk exposure massively, and therefore that would also mean that your exposure would not be in line with the credit decisions made earlier, and then this whole preparation kind of falls apart, because then you suddenly have a lot larger position than you anticipated, and you as an organization might not feel comfortable with that. I think that those were apologies that was a little bit drier, but I tried my best there.
No, Ward. Thanks a lot. And I can say that this perspective, this credit perspective on the closeout netting is really very important, because we as legal, we see only one side of this issue, while you can give us what happens after we reply to all the questions. And from my experience, I know that our interactions with the credit team usually starts when we are just negotiating the IFET agreements, and when credit asks us all these questions like, is it nettable? Is this product nettable in this jurisdiction or not? And then there is a silence from the credit side, and then the questions start when something bad happens. So indeed, this is like the main, but what happens in between, we have, as legal people, we have no idea. So
No,
that was really interesting to know.
Exactly. So what happens indeed when you set up, when you negotiate the agreements, and when the credit risk does the assessment, then they collect all the information, and on that basis, a decision is made. And then there is this radio silence indeed, but that's when the proper monitoring should be done based on all the assumptions when the credit risk decision was made. And what the worst situation is that you can get into is that if it goes wrong, so if the agreements and all these clauses actually apply, that these assumptions were wrong, and you're stuck with a whole different position than you thought, and you were monitoring the whole wrong thing all along. And that is the main risk. And that is why whether it's applicable or not is so key from a credit risk management point of view as well.
I agree. And one of the things that I always echo is what you said, preparation and communication. It's always key. Knowing when things go wrong, where to go, how to get your answers quickly, and if things changed. Sometimes I've had, questions on setting up the IFET today, okay, and 3 years down the line, another question: can we still close up net with this jurisdiction? And then you realize that your opinions are old, are 2 or 3 years old, and it's always the same. It's a bit. First, give me 2 hours to read the opinion again, because quite frankly, we don't remember 100 pages, right? But also let me go and ask if there's something that that has changed. And that's why changes always ripple through the industry when we discover that something's changed.
Yeah, and you have to also remember that these trade agreements are usually set up and then stay in place for 10, 15, sometimes 20 years. And they are just assumed as a given. Yes, we have an IFET agreement, therefore it is okay. But if it's an agreement of 15 years ago, then things have changed, ownerships might have changed, all kinds of things might have changed. So it's really worth also monitoring that properly.
Yes, so again, I invite everyone to ask questions also to Ward about all this credit. So everything that you were curious to know about credit lines, but were scared to ask. So Ward is absolutely the right person to reply to all these questions and to reply in simple terms, which could be understandable, simple and clear for everyone. So please feel free to add your questions. I think that actually now we start our Q&A session. So please feel free. We already see some questions in the chat, but feel free to raise your hands or to participate in the discussion, or to add some questions for Kola, so anything, or maybe some topics that you would like also us to mention or to discuss. We will be happy to proceed. Farron, I think that the first take is yours. Yes.
Yes, we have, and let me just put Kola up. And again, apologies for earlier my Teams application ceased up. What I was saying, and I'm not sure that I could finish all my explanation, is Kola right now has legal opinions focused on IFET gas on one side, IFET power, and the CSA. We do not have master netting agreement opinions, so we have not considered the netting between gas and power as of yet. I know because Francesco raises 2 or 3 very good questions on one on close-up netting between the different 2 agreements. So this is something that Kola right now does not have, but it's our next. But one of the things that we've tried to make sure is that we have the products there. We have we have forwards, we have options, and we have guarantees of origin. So let me just pop this question on guarantees of origin. I'll just copy paste it directly live. Famous last words also sometimes. And let's see what Cola says. So as you see, we were asking about Italian law before. So Cola has remembered where we were and says that under Italian law, guarantees of origin are not eligible for statutory netting protection under the Competition Act. We could also go to, for example, and what about in Spain? Sorry, you see. And Cola will go to the Spanish and will give you the information on what happens in Spain. Sorry. And you'll have the sources. So the TLDR, guarantees of origin, classifies non-financial transactions under the IFET framework and Royal, and they do not have the protection of Royal Decree Law 5/2005, which is the netting regime. But we could even go and what about in Austria? And you see, it's always a conversation that you can have. And you get your answers and the excerpts. Then if you want to check this, you can always go on where it is and the legal opinion once you have access to Cola, the full Cola, and then see that answer also reflected in the legal opinion. One thing that I want to say, and I want to warn you in a sense, is the trial right now includes only the chat part of Cola, the AI. And when you get, if you want to subscribe to the full suite, then you will get all the legal opinions with the PDF. We will also be launching this week the Cola certification. We've been testing it. We've been making sure that you can always reach us and always reach the right person, the right lawyer for the jurisdiction. And by the end of this week, we will have here a button saying Cola certification, and this will reach us, and we will reply.
And if I may, also what I would like to note and to mention, Farhan, is that Cola is not only knowledgeable, but Cola is also quite humble. Because if Cola doesn't know something, then Cola will be absolutely direct to tell you. There will be no hallucination part that we have all experienced in our communication with AI, where ChatGPT or creates something or maybe tries to guess what it is. So with Cola, this will not be the case. That was part also of our testing hours to make sure that when Cola doesn't have this information, Cola tells you this directly, that this is not something that is in my legal database. So you will, at this point of time, you will know that this is something that you will need either to check yourself or go to legal opinions or check again with us. So that's also quite important, and that also improves your that improves reliability on Cola, so that you may trust then when something is not clear, you will know that it is not clear.
Exactly. For the more technical, is we have grounded Cola on the legal opinions that we procured. The moment that you ground something on a really tight text that it's understandable, that is not too complicated, it's just not all the text in the internet, you have something that is more that is less prone to hallucinations. We've done testing and testing and testing, and we recognize that there's sometimes could happen. That's why we have the Cola certification. Anytime that you think there's something, please by push that button. We don't think that's going to be. We have really good results, and I can tell you we've been for the last months doing hundreds of questions every day to Cola. Hi, ciao, Rafaela. We are planning to extend Cola to the Insa world. This depends a bit on what our users want. I think that ISDA has a good structure on legal opinions. We could do it and try to go out to the different law firms. But is it something that is interesting for you? The advantage that we have as Correggio is that we can go where our customers lead us. Do you want ISDA, or do you want AITA, for example? Or do you want something else? And that we can do. Or do you prefer, instead of ISDA, that we complete the IFET, we go to the M&A or certain jurisdictions? That is whatever you really want, we can do, we can consider, and we can do. So hopefully it's going to be a bit more tailor-made than the solutions that you have right now.
Yes, as I've already promised, we may have Cola 2.0, and we may have Cola 3.0, and even more. So this depends also on popularity of Cola, and we are sure that it's going to be popular, because internally the name of this project, the secret name of this project, was Happiness Project, because we believe that it is our goal to bring a little bit of happiness in the lives of the lawyers, spending hundreds of hours with the legal opinions, reading and learning them by heart, to deliver the proper information for the credit specialist. Yes. So now with Cola, now with Cola, we hope that actually our legal routine and our daily routine will become a little bit easier and happier.
Exactly. And I would say even happiness for the credit specialist. I cannot count how many times credit came to me with, can we do close-up netting in this jurisdiction? I just had to tell them, I'll come back to you in one day because I need to read this. And I could see in their faces oh really? I mean, I have the default now. I have my doubts now that these guys are going down, or that there might be an issue, or my lines are exploding. So please, can you be a bit more quick? With Cola, we hope that the life of everyone is going to become easier.
So please let us know if you have any other questions, please, because we have only five minutes to go. I really hope that you enjoyed the webinar. At least we did our best to present you the information, Cola, and also credit aspects in the best possible way. So please feel free to speak, to raise your hand, to add questions while we still have a few minutes to go.
And while you are thinking about more questions, if you don't have the free trial yet, and if you want to participate and try Cola, you can send us an email to any one of the team, but you can also access the Cola hotline email address, and we will be happy to set up your free trial and give you access to Cola. Look for, if you have sent an email, we will send you the credentials. Look for them sometimes in your spam folder. You know how this goes sometimes.
Yes, and again, just to repeat what Ferran has already mentioned to you, is that this information doesn't go to any third-party service providers, so you can be totally sure. So what you discuss with Cola will not be open and public to anyone. So you can be totally sure about that. Okay, I don't see any hands raised. Yes, so we have one question. If someone uses Cola, will he have full access to the respective legal opinions or only partial access? So again, as Farron, yeah, please take this one. Yeah.
Absolutely. So it depends on the tier you're in. If you are in the most basic tier, you only have access to the AI chatbots and some caller certifications. But on the regular and obviously the premium tiers, you will have access to absolutely all the legal opinions, all the PDF, what we call the caller brain.
Yes, thank you. And of course, I mean, if you need more information about subscription, feel free to contact us, feel free to ask your questions. Until the end of December, trial is free, and trial includes only caller chat box and the certification function. While after full subscription, you will, according to the tier, as mentioned by Farron, you may have access to legal opinions also. So I think no further questions, but again, feel free to contact us. From my side, I would like to thank you all for joining today. So I hope that we managed to make closeout netting a little more fun and a lot less scary indeed. So if you ever feel lost navigating netting rules across Europe, we have the netting matrix. So this is your first and very own travel guide through the legal landscape. But if you need help finding your way in details of the legal opinions, and you do not want to spend time on reading the netting matrix, but only minutes on chatting with Kola, please feel free to let us know. This is our legal assistant, AI legal assistant, and your personal GPS navigator in the world of closeout netting. And finally, if you need any credit advice, don't worry. Wart can take care of you. So he's here, your trusty co-pilot through the galaxy of credit and netability. So we will be able to take care of you. Just let us know. We are here to make you to make sure that you stay safe, informed, and in control. Even when Darth Vader shows up, we are here to help you and to protect. So thanks a lot. We hope that we will have a few of us then trying and testing Kola and contacting us. Please feel free to do so. And thanks again for your time.